Thank you so much, Blaine. We are in the beautiful West Rand area of Gauteng. We're at a taxi rank called the Magalies taxi rank, and it's a hive of activity. We know that some of the streets in the area are going to be fixed and have been fixed as part of the province's smart mobility project. But what we do have here, we have the MEC for transport in the province, as well as the mayor of the West Rand, talking to us on a special focus about the numbers of the COVID that we're seeing in this area. We do know, Blaine, that the West Rand has the second highest number of COVID cases in the province, and obviously this is really worrying. And we know that the MEC of health in the province has attributed some of these issues to the issue of increased mobility, as well as the issue of people increasing with regards to traveling to attend cluster events or super spreader events, and they're trying to ensure that people adhere to more compliance. But talk to me a little bit more about these issues, Blaine. Thank you so much for joining me, MEC for Transport, Mr. Jacob Mamabolo in Gauteng. You're here at the West Rand taxi rank. You have spoken to some of the taxi owners. You've spoken to some of the passengers. What are your thoughts, and what are some of the impressions that you've gathered around compliance issues with COVID?
Well, firstly, thank you very much. I must say that given the difficulties and challenges we have with the high numbers in the province, it has been a very hectic week for us from city of Tshwane, city of Joburg. We were in Mfuleni. We are now here just this week. So what we are doing here is two things. One is that we are enforcing COVID-19 compliance, of course, with the protocols. And that's why we are checking if commuters are being sanitized and mask wearing is being enforced, and also opening of windows. And what we have seen thus far, and with the taxi association here, is that the feedback from commuters, which is what is very much important, is that they are saying right from the picking points in the townships, they are being sanitized, the mask is being enforced, no mask, no ride. And so that is very remarkable, and we have also seen it here consistently. It's been done, and for that we really want to thank the leadership of the taxi industry. The second part that we are doing is that with the lockdown in the last year in 2020, we have accumulated massive backlogs in road maintenance. So the second thing we're doing is to protect our economy's infrastructure, because if we just focus only on COVID-19, we protect saving of lives, we might end up with a road infrastructure that threatens the economy. We know our economy is not doing well, it's not functioning at its full capacity. So we have got to do these two things: protect human life and also make sure that we preserve the road network and support our economy. So to that extent, we will also be working to make sure that we patch potholes, grass cutting, and protect our road network. So that's essentially the two things we're doing here.
All right, let me see. So let's unpack that. You've given us a lot of information to talk to. While we're unpacking that, let's bring in the leadership of the Taxi Association. Thank you so much, sir. The MEC has given you quite a positive introduction. If you can just introduce yourself and the association that you're with.
Okay, my name is Peter Chabedi. I'm the chairperson of Johannesburg Rural Taxi Association.
Dr. Peter, you know, the MEC has been here, he's spoken to some of your members, and he's given you the thumbs up. But what are some of the challenges and issues you faced from the side of the taxi drivers and the side of the commuters in terms of people maybe not wanting to adhere to compliance, or people not wanting to put on their masks? What are some of the issues and challenges you've had to deal with?
Yeah, really, I want to be honest and say that we've been getting a very great support from our region, from our local municipality, including his office himself, the MEC, when it comes to sanitizers, when it comes to information. As you know, you have just mentioned yourself that the numbers have risen very high. But I also want to thank the community itself, including the employer around, with what they've done in terms of campaigning to make sure that people are wearing their mask, people are adhering to the rules, especially by washing your hands. As you know, most of our work as rural people, we do most of our things with our naked hands. So it's so important that wherever we are, wherever we pick up people, we have stationed people there with the necessary resources like sanitizer and masks, as we sometimes give away free masks and so on.
Dr. Peter, before I let you go, we know that the taxi industry is the backbone of transport in the country and in Gauteng. But the reality is that taxi drivers are transporting millions of South Africans throughout their different destinations. And compliance is not always an issue that is available to them. How are you going to deal with that issue? The reality is it is not always possible to ensure that your members and the passengers are adhering to the issue of sanitizing, social distancing, and ensuring that they put on their masks.
Yes, you have really asked a very good and important question. We have a plan.
What is the plan?
Our plan was or is bringing all the stakeholders on board. I'm talking about governing school bodies, because we do transport school children. We're talking about local municipality to form part of that committee, because what we are doing is to make sure that our drivers, as we have just asked, that are we sure that they are complying? Yes, we are complying, because every morning we have a session. That session is for the rank manager to make sure that each and every car has a sanitizer inside, each and every car is clean, each and every car is roadworthy, because either you comply, but if something is wrong, then it's the same as you have not complied. So those are our plans around this area. And what we also did, actually, which is very encouraging, is our local employers around have also made sure that their employees, which are our commuters, are adhering to this COVID rules. So our challenges, they are there, but not that much because of the working relationship that we have with our commuters around here. So I would really plead that if we can get more sanitizers, as I've also spoken to the MEC and the mayor, that since they also have the capacity like health inspectors, they should also visit our ranks once a week, so that they give us more information and we share some other views. I think.
Dr. Peter, thank you so much. We leave it right there. MEC, your quick response to some of the suggestions made by Dr. Peter?
I must say that what is very interesting about and what is commendable is that from 4 a.m. in the morning, they've got a very coordinated team that does the work. So we want to uphold the good practices. One of the things I've seen, which is done only here, I've not yet came across it anywhere, is that they take a list of all the commuters that goes inside the taxi. That helps with track and trace. They take their numbers, and they did assure me that in case they get information somebody who was in the taxi is infected, they are able to hand over that to and work with the health authorities. So that is best practice, which really I think we're going to even expand and recommend to other taxi ranks. So what they are doing is excellent and it's good practice, and for that we will be supporting them, working closely with them. We also like the fact that they're coordinating with the employers of the commuters. That is also a good thing which they are doing, and we really commend them for that.
MEC, we're going to bring in the mayor of Mogale City. Now, Mayor, this region has got one of the second highest number of COVID cases in the province. Is this concerning to you, and why?
No, thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity, to appreciate this interview. That indeed this region, Westland, it's one of the hittest, region in the province, and that is why it is really concerning us. That is why we have started with a campaign to make sure that all the commuters, within our taxi ranks are compliant with the regulations of COVID-19. So we are here today just to check whether that program is actually being adhered to by our taxi owners and also the commuters around here. But from where we are satisfied that indeed we have seen that The taxi industry has actually made initiatives. They are sanitizing people. They are recordings where they are actually going to assist us in terms of follow-up to trace those cases that might have been actually identified. So we are very much happy, and we can see here that they are keeping the distance, and then they are sanitizing as they get into the taxis from time to time.
Mayor, let me just jump in there. What are the issues that are driving the high numbers of COVID in your region?
Well, of course, I think it is because of ignorance of our community members. When this thing would have not hit at home, then you may actually take it lightly. And that is why we are here also to provide commuters, our communities, with health educations to understand, the impact of COVID-19. That it actually tears the communities apart. And it is our responsibility as the municipality to make sure that we go all out and then we provide our communities with health educations so that they can actually be able to see the danger of this pandemic.
Mayor, those are great interventions that you're planning on putting in place, but it's simply not enough. The second highest number of COVID cases, the second highest number of death rates. Gauteng is leading the COVID numbers in the country, and the West Rand is the second highest in the province. More simply needs to be done, and the education programs that you're putting in place are simply not enough. What else will be done?
Well, of course, it is also to make provision of resources, like issues of sanitizers, issues of masks, to actually to enforce the law, the COVID regulations, for people to actually put their mask from time to time. For those who can be able to stay at home, we advise them to stay at home to avoid cross-infection that could actually happen when they are within the crowd. We are also encouraging people, when they have funerals, not to have, these after tears that could actually become super spreaders.
Thank you so much. That was the Mayor of the West Rand. Just to get your closing thoughts, MEC, we've heard some of the issues from the Mayor of the West Rand, but it's just simply not enough. What is the way forward in terms of assisting this region to ensure that community members adhere more to the COVID regulations? Just a quick closing final thought.
The most important one, remember that COVID-19 spread because of movement of people. So if we have to combat that and combat it decisively, we need to be at the taxi ranks, the members of the mayoral committee, the mayor, at high transit points like taxi ranks. That is number one. Number two, there are super spreader sites, commercial sites, malls. We need the municipality working with the provincial government to go to those spots and enforce compliance with retail shops, workers inside that are working there, and make sure that all things that are required to combat the spread are complied with. So environmental and health inspectors should be deployed to high intensity sites like shopping malls. Then there's an issue of the municipality having to make sure that its teams are there at funerals, which are culprits in terms of super spreader events. We also need law enforcement to help us with curb unnecessary movement, but also comply with the restrictions of movement, particularly the curfew. So the coordination of law enforcement agencies, there can be traffic SABC, we need that coordination as well. So those are some of the things that we need to intensify to combat the spread of COVID-19.
All right, thank you so much, MEC Mamabolo, leadership of the taxi industry in this area, and the Mayor of Mogale City, just giving us a picture, special focus on the West Rand and some of the issues contributing to the issues that have driven the high numbers of COVID infections in this particular region. And Blaine, it's absolutely important that all the stakeholders work together to ensuring that there is sufficient compliance and there is sufficient oversight of all the different areas that communities, as well as the taxi leadership and the taxi drivers ministers and the different moving parts work together to bring down the numbers of the COVID infections. The numbers in Gauteng are rising. It's absolutely scary, and something needs to be done to stem the tide. And West Rand is committing that they will be putting in stricter interventions, more key interventions in the regions and the areas where super spreader events are, and high or hotspot areas to ensure that those numbers start coming down. And this will be absolutely critical in the coming weeks to ensure that the numbers start coming down. Blaine.
One of the priorities is to get the public to understand what's the state of play, what's happening on the ground. Why? Because by understanding that, we can put in place measures to help mitigate the deleterious effects of COVID-19. Thank you very much indeed, Nozintombi Miya, for helping us understand what the situation is where you are. Nozintombi Miya, live for us there. Thank you.